Hey guys, my name is Justin Nodisho, and in this video I want to share with you guys my quick little review and kind of favorite points from this book, which is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, who is the creator of Nike. So this isn't like one big advertisement for Nike, even though you got the big swoosh in the middle. It's more of a story on how he came up with the idea and the challenges and things he had to overcome when taking this company from idea to the time that they went public. So the book actually ends right around 1980 when the company went public, and through it details the journey of starting out from nothing, starting out selling shoes out of his car to becoming this multi-million to multi-billion dollar company. So whether you like Nike or not, or whether you're a fan, you could still learn something from this if you're trying to create anything, if you're an entrepreneur, if you have a goal, if you have a dream. This book could still teach you a few things about reaching your goals. And like it or not, it's one of those once in a lifetime companies that's really ingrained in the culture. You probably have a pair of Nikes 10 feet away from you right now in your closet somewhere. You might be wearing a pair. You probably couldn't go a day out in the world without seeing or interacting with this brand. So it's definitely something that I thought I could learn from. It's written just like a story, just like a movie, from start to finish. It's not like a bunch of factual information. It's not your typical business book. So this is only my second book review on this channel. It's a little bit different. Hopefully you guys like it. I like reviewing stuff that I've just read and I found good, or that I think you guys could find useful. And this is actually a new book. It came out this year. So maybe someone could enjoy my recommendation and some things that I like from this book. So if you guys aren't familiar with what shoe dog means, shoe dog is actually a slang or nickname, term of endearment kind of, for anyone that works in the shoe industry. So like whether you make shoes, sell shoes, whatever. A fun fact about me, and something you guys might not know, something that drew me to get this book, is that I was a shoe dog for a couple of years. So I worked retail, I worked in the shoe department of a store, and I sold several thousands of pairs of shoes. Definitely sold tons of Nikes, and I learned how to carry lots of shoe boxes in one hand. Actually, I could probably carry like 12 shoe boxes in one hand. One funny story I had with Nike in our own stockroom when I worked was one time they came out with this shoe called this, and I guess they were trying to make it like Zen, kind of like a sister pair to the Roshi and the Roshi Run. However, a couple weeks later, we got noticed to pull all the bags and rename, put a sticker over the names, because they were changing the name to something else. I forgot what they changed the name to. But if you look this up, they changed the name. There was controversy over. So after we took all the offending bags out and relabeled the shoes, we could just keep these bags. I kind of kept it just for fun. But I definitely know a lot about stock rooms. I know about carrying those orange boxes. And I thought it'd be interesting to learn a thing or two about the origin of all this. Furthermore, the story begins when he's 24 years old, freshly graduated, and traveling across the world before he decides what he wants to do for the rest of his life. So any young searching people out there could also definitely relate and be inspired by this story. So I'm not gonna get into all the details. I'll leave a link to it below if you guys wanna check it out. Definitely would recommend it, but let me get into some of my favorite quotes and a few quotes that stuck out to me. So one, in the very beginning of the book, he mentions this crazy idea that he had in his business school. They had to come up with a paper or something, and his idea was to change the shoe industry by the same way the camera industry was manufacturing in Japan rather than Germany. He wanted to do the same thing with shoes, because at the time it was just Adidas and big companies like that making shoes in Germany. And he says about having a crazy idea, he says, think of your goal as more of a destination, and don't listen to anyone else about your idea, and just keep running towards it, or keep going towards it as long as you have a destination, and everything kind of falls into place. And I definitely agree with that. One, you shouldn't listen to anybody else more than yourself. And two, if you think of your goals as a destination, then you know where you're going to, and you have something to work towards, and it's achievable. Another parallel to running and idea that stuck in my head is, if you're not growing, you're dying, or if you're not growing, you're shrinking. So whenever he was investing money back into Nike, for like the first 20 years of the company, they would almost be broke. They were living on the float because he would take the maximum amount of credit that he could get from banks and everywhere else and investors, and he'd have to put it right back into getting supply. And he faces all types of challenges throughout this with banks and creditors and almost losing the company several times. But essentially the spirit of it is that if you're not growing, you're being stagnant or you're losing. So just to stay in the same place, you got to keep walking. If you want to get to where you're going, you have to run twice as fast. And if you do nothing at all, then you start to go backwards actually. Another small quote that I liked in this book that isn't like a major quote or point in the book, I just really like this sentence, was on one of these pages, he was mentioning about watching Steve Prefontaine running in the Olympics. And he says he learned that total effort will win people's hearts, regardless of what it is. And I really agree with that quote, because if you think of anyone that you look up to, what you really admire about certain people isn't their niche or their sport or their genre. It's more that they admire someone giving their all into something, putting their all their effort into it. And for anyone out there with a goal or just general principle to live life on, if you give your all in it, it doesn't matter what you're doing. People can recognize effort and people can recognize that you're giving it your all, and that will win people over. So that's a really good thing to keep in mind. It's something that I've always thought, but that kind of puts it into words. The last big takeaway that I learned from this book is to just keep working hard. Don't stop. Don't listen to other people. And just have faith, and have faith in faith. And wherever that journey takes you, at least you'll have the pride in it that you worked hard at something, or you tried things your way, or you did it for yourself. So there's so much more in this book that I can't say. It's like 300 pages of story, and there's ups and downs, and there's funny moments, and there's so much to take away from it. This has definitely changed the way that I look at this box, and every time I see a Nike or see one of these boxes now in the future, I'm going to be reminded of Phil Knight. I'm going to be reminded of all the struggles that they went through and all the challenges, and it's going to give me a little bit of inspiration and backstory every time I see this box popping up and the swoosh in my vision. Yes, it does mention some of the criticisms at the end about like the sweatshop controversy and all that, but the majority of the story is up until 1980 and all the innovations and all the challenges. That's the good part. There's a couple pages of ending reflection that he does, and in there you get some more of the recent things, and he talks about the controversies and explains them and gives his perspective. Obviously there's a small bit of bias if you are the founder of it and it's your baby, but the book never reads as one big advertisement or phony. It really is a reflection of his life and his creation, and the small bits where you could see some bias towards his baby of a company are easily recognizable and pretty forgivable in that context. So I would definitely recommend this book, anyone who's interested. If you guys enjoyed this video, I have one other book review up right now. This is only my second book review. I'm not a professional book reviewer, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.